Welcome back. My name's Chris, and this week I have a lesson for you on how to conquer your fear of improvisation and actually start improvising music on guitar, piano, whatever instrument you play. I've got guitar and piano here, and I'm going to demonstrate these 5 tips I've got for you. And my hope is that you can see how anyone can do this. It is not about talent. It's not about what you know. It's more about accepting yourself. I have had to learn a lot of these lessons the hard way, and I'm here to save you some time and to hopefully lead you to some musical self-acceptance and a whole new journey. Improvisation is really a whole universe available to you where you can tap in to the source of where all this stuff comes from, where words come from, where creativity in general, beauty comes from. And I hope to inspire you. These things have really helped me out over my journey. I used to be terrified of hearing people hearing me even practice, much less improvise music. I had this lofty framing of music that was just not helpful. So I'm hoping that I can inspire you and give you some tips. So let's just jump in. Tip number 1 is basically to realize everything's okay. Meaning, there's nothing wrong here, right? And I have to remind myself of this too. I'm improvising this. I don't have a script, of course. It's obvious, probably. That this is like a journey for me. And we improvise all the time. We improvise with speech. And there's a certain kind of attitude adjustment we need. This is something I just missed for years and years. I thought, I need to learn more notes, or I need to try harder, or whatever that means, right? I need to be better, essentially. That was my shortcomings, I thought. And then I realized, I need to accept myself at whatever level I'm at. So I need to be able to go to a guitar or a piano. Got a guitar here. So I'm just going to play a low note here, E. I'm just going to play some notes above it. So say I play open through 4. Woo. Okay, so 1 and 3 are kind of dissonant, right? But here, the point is, there's no wrong note. As Jacob Collier says, there's only notes that have not found their consequence. So if this note's here, what does it want to do? Kind of bluesy, right? Dissonant again. What if I include some other strings? And limiting yourself here is really, really good to do. And this is something easier said than done, right? To accept yourself, whatever level you're at. Play some, see what happens. You'll be amazed that you're still there, right? Music is this trivial way which we can work on this. I was afraid of this for years, right? I had just a lofty picture of music, and I kind of knew too much. If you know a lot about music, if you've gone through the whole mill of music education, of studying in college, you can just get so turned around. That was my story. I'll link pertinent videos here that will help you, right? Of my journey. And I think this is something a lot of us need to work on. I have many students who, if I ask them, hey, let's just make something up. Let's just play together for 2 minutes or whatever. That would terrify them. And I know actually musical professionals, pianists, it's often not guitarists. Guitarists are good about making some stuff up, but I know people who that would just terrify them, and we just need to realize, there's really nothing wrong here, right? There's no wrong note. On piano, you can just play low note, C and G, play over it. Put your hand anywhere, C through G. Star Wars, sorry. Just kind of sit in the moment. Again, so let's play some wrong notes. Let's play a black key. Woo. Oh, we're okay, right? Nothing's wrong. And this just takes quieting ourselves, right? A self-acceptance, a realization of how music works in some ways, right? That we can evoke beauty, but we can't be afraid of some ugliness, some dissonance, some discomfort, some imperfection. Say I play it in time, maybe. Let's say I move my hand to F. Or even better, let's say I keep my right hand at C and I move my left hand. we're getting comfortable, right? This is something I just miss so hard. I think back on all the times I was just so hyper fixated on what I was playing. There's this internal monologue just going a million miles an hour, and I was not present at all, right? I was not accepting anything at all. It's like I was building an airplane, and as I was building, I was saying, this is going to crash. And I would practice that way, right? It's insane. Looking back, right? But I no longer come to it with that perspective. I still deal with nerves. I still deal with, this internal monologue of, I want to play well, and, that's totally normal. But I now have a framing for it that is really helpful. And I realize that the pros, the people who I look up to, the musical masters in improvisation, they are tapping into this thing where they are just present. They're just letting it flow through them. They're seeing where it's going to go, right? It's a cool movie or show. It's a great conversation with friends. You are not going to go into that situation if you are really authentic in yourself and feel calm and collected. You're not going to go into it with nerves. You're going to be like, hey, I want to talk. Let's hang out all night long and catch up, right? And there's a beauty there of openness, of a discovery. It is a total attitude shift from, I think, a lot of musicians. So that's my advice here, is to sit in this space of feeling okay. I love the reframing of, if you do want to practice specific things, you're not bad at it. You're just unfamiliar. So if you want to get a certain language down, we'll talk about that in the next step. So tip number 2, acquire any musical vocab to start. This could be anything. So it could be a scale. It could be a chord. It could be 5 notes on the piano like I just did. Let's go back to guitar. So let's say I wanted to get into improvisation. I really recommend either major scale or a pentatonic scale. Let's say I pick a major scale and I'm playing just a few strings. So maybe this is like a part of the E major scale, right? I've got 3, 2, 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. And I could tag it like that. That's really helpful. The main tip here is to totally acquire this, to integrate it into your body at such a deep level that we can only play it correctly, and I don't have to think about it at all, right? I should be able to kind of talk to you and play this scale and see if my fingers can really feel this at every level. See if my fingers can play, 2 notes at once, different combinations of things I've never done. And once it's there, then we can use it. But just like language, if we're kind of cold on the content, it can really make speaking hard. So you can limit this. That's the beauty of it, right? We don't need to practice the E scale all over the guitar. That takes a lot to acquire, right? It takes a lot of time. And most people don't have the insight on how to practice well, which I'll be talking about more. I've already talked about some. And so therefore, they're playing it wrong a lot. So they're hoping that they play it the right way when they need to, but their body has been shown so many ways of playing it wrongly that they have no choice. Your brain doesn't know which one's the right one. You have to show it. So you have to say, okay, this is the thing I'm trying to get better at. We'll say it's a jazz thing, which I try to play jazz, which is sometimes a crazy kind of thing that humbles me. So what if it's like certain kind of musical content? Maybe it's I'm trying to play the arpeggios based on certain chord changes. Like, and I go through all these shapes, and I have to get familiar with that. So that's a more musical task of getting familiar with the musical information and how I would play it on guitar, not so much exact positions on guitar. So this goes at every level. If I want to be able to play over 12-bar blues, I better know that 12-bar blues. I better be able to feel that if I'm, E, whatever, A7, I got to feel that bar 5 of the A7, right? Back to bar, 7, I got back to E, bar 9's B, bar 10 to A. I need to be able to feel those changes. I need to have that form so integrated. And I do this by just rubbing up against stuff a lot. I love this quote by Charlie Parker that is essentially talking about, I'm going to butcher the quote, but to summarize it, to learn things, learn them all the way, learn all the rules, learn all the notes, and then forget it all when you play, which is right. And this is what we do when we speak a language. We learn things in order to express ourselves, and then we can express ourselves, and we don't think about it anymore. It's almost as if the scale I've been practicing, it just disappears in my fingers, so I can actually do something with it. I can see, where does it want to go? Where, like when I play this note, do I want to go down or up? If I've learned, of course, some licks and the more content I give my fingers and the more it can acquire at a high level, at this integrated level, the more that it will render new things, right? Just by creativity and how it works. Tip number 3 is to get your groove in your body. Groove is your way in. So the way to do this is to think about, playing with music. 95% of music is going to be in a kind of groove format. Like there's going to be some kind of beat. There's going to be a cadence to the notes, to the individual rhythms of things. And I've got a metronome here, but I recommend doing this with a backing track. And I like this idea with a Met, playing 2 and 4 only. So I've got it at 40, but I'm going to treat this as 2 and 4. So 2, 3, 4. So if you make this feel good, you can make anything feel good. So I'm just going to play C and G again. This will vary a lot, right? Depending on the genre of music you like. I just heard this guitar tip from Adam Levy, who's a great session guitarist. Everything's got to feel good, right? So this is my kind of almost a rhythm tip in general. But the reason it's an improvisation tip is if I can get something feeling good, let's do A maybe. Maybe A pentatonic, A minor. Whatever, right? So I'm trying to let that drive the bus here, right? I'm trying to see what things make me move, what things make me dance, and to realize the power of even one note here, right? I could just do this. A. Right? You want to get lost in that. And this is the cadential part of playing music, where the rhythm kind of overtakes things. The rhythm is really the first thing. It's the spear of the note, right? That's the thing that will really unlock, I think, the note choice. When you start having to choose notes, you have to have a rhythm to put the notes on. And I've talked to, many improvisers have said this, that the rhythm is kind of your way in. So, backing tracks are great for this. The more you rub up against other rhythms, if you hear, a great drum groove, let's say I've got a bass groove that was like, something like that. I need a loop pedal. Be kind of a cool YouTuber. So that's going to affect, of course, what I play. I want to be able to hang with that at a rhythmic level, and everything I do needs to kind of ride on that versus knowing all these certain notes or riffs or whatever and kind of being like, well, how do I make it feel good, right? And kind of thinking about the rhythm second after the fact. So in general, try to play with as many styles of music as you can, and the more you know kind of what moves you, the better, and you will be able to get more words out, if you will, right? Getting the cadence of things down, realizing the power of one great danceable rhythm. Tip number 4, turn quantity into quality. So this is just going to take maybe a good analogy here is music and improvisation. Wherever these notes are coming from, it's like a hose. We have to turn the hose on, and it's going to be, the water's going to be kind of dirty at first, right? But the more you do this, the better it gets, and you'll be able to really speak this language. I love this analogy that Chris Eldridge, who's a guitarist in this band Punch Brothers that I love, I'll link a song below. I'm a huge fan. I've got a Punch Brothers sticker here somewhere and other Punch Brothers memorabilia. But he talks about something that really helps him in high pressure kind of musical situations is just focusing on the intent of sharing music. I love the analogy, and I tell students this all the time, that when you are playing music in general, and especially when you're improvising music, which is of course a lot more stressful for many people, it needs to be the feeling of a good conversation with old friends, right? I think I called a blog post that one time about music because it's so true, right? There's this honesty and authenticity, an ease that if I'm just catching up with old friends, we're going to talk all night long. It'll be great. There's no wrong word I could say. If they're like, hey, the words you're saying are like, they're weird, or if I'm thinking that, am I saying the right words here? It sounds so silly, right? It's like, what do you want to say? Like, what's the meaning? The words are kind of irrelevant. This is how I can justify doing YouTube videos with no script, right? I'm just trying to get across the meaning. And I don't want to get caught up on like exact things, right? It's just kind of missing the spirit of things. The more you do music and the more you practice, you can get more and more zooming in to really think about note choices. I do this a lot with improvisation. I might practice soloing over a chord progression where I'm really going slowly. And kind of zooming in, or maybe it's a certain kind of concept like arpeggios. It's all the things you are very, very slowly. So that's in a more stylistic vocabulary, and everyone's vocabulary is going to be different. But I need to get some quantity out, not judge it too harshly. Again, be self-accepting here, and that quantity quickly turns into quality if I just remember to give some grace and to slowly develop my craft, to deepen my craft, to deepen what I'm studying, the content. Is it acquired? Do I know what I'm trying to play here, right? And before I know it, I'm playing better and better things that come out fresh and, musical, right? And I'm like, oh, that's surprising. So I can kind of test all these things at the same time. But of course, this takes an authentic, judgment-free place to get some stuff out. Don't be afraid of quality. All right, tip number 5. Nobody knows how this works. And what I mean by that is no one knows where this stuff comes from, right? So that is a kind of a metaphysical almost question of like, where is this music coming from? And you might be like, well, it's coming from your brain. It's coming from your experience, your ears, your fingers, like what's in your muscle memory. And of course, that's partially correct. But I have a challenge for you. I want you to play music for like 60 seconds. Just play whatever. So it could be very structured. It could be in a certain key, a certain scale, whatever you know. Or it could be kind of totally random, right? I will do this for 20 seconds. I don't know, around 20 seconds. So here's me playing something random. 20 seconds. I don't know. I'm kind of lost in time now. And I played some stuff that was kind of dissonant, didn't really work. I wouldn't make a recording of that and release it and be like, this is my song. It's called I Made Something Up in 20 Seconds. But, right, the point here is that by the end of that, I kind of felt like where's this going to go? I felt like the listener, right? I think when Marcellus says this, like something about music is both for the listener and the performer, but the performer is the first listener. Something about that. It's very metaphysical. But I agree. There is something so mysterious about this, and you should ask yourself, where does this come from? Where am I getting this music? Am I getting it from my heroes? Am I getting it from the divine? Am I getting it from my subconscious? Am I getting it from a combination of all those things? Is it coming just out of the ether? Am I getting it from great music, from spirit, emotions, from being inspired by other people? And this is a really fascinating thing for me. I had this experience actually last year at this camp, and I was at a music camp. It was great. I'm considering going this year. I don't know. It's expensive, but anyways, so I was jamming with people every night. It was a very inclusive, open environment. Everyone was real chill. I meet this guy, and he walks up, and I'm like, hey, play guitar? And I asked him, like, what tunes do you want to play, or what kind of stuff do you want to play? He said, let's just play. And I never had this experience before of what a lot of jazz guys call free playing, which is basically playing together like I just did myself in a totally unstructured way. Not talking about anything before, not talking about key, what song, what kind of form, what feel. And we played for about 25 minutes or something like that, or 20 minutes. And it went places, and it was crazy. And it really did feel like I have no idea what this is. Like, who's driving this car, right? It really felt like that. So it is a truly mysterious thing. And, this is something that we're trying to connect to something bigger than us, right? That is really the point here. It's going to go, you're going to have mixed results, but it's not going to make you worse. It's just going to give you more freedom, right? That's the goal. So I encourage you. Try to do this in small chunks at first. Give yourself grace. Record something for 20 seconds. Just listen to yourself back. Listen to see, okay, yeah, that felt a certain way when I was doing it, and now I listen to it, and I'm kind of like, it's going to be hopefully mysterious, right? It's not going to be like, oh man, I played the wrong thing. And remember, there's no wrong notes, right? And you can do this very structured. I love doing this on piano, where I just play in a certain key, or any instrument, right? A flat. I can also, of course, kind of modulate it via technique. Maybe my right hand plays chords. Right? There's no wrong note. I'm trying to explore this vast unknown and not shut it down, not close it off, not be unavailable to it. So I hope this has been helpful. I will be back next week with another lesson. I hope you can get into improvisation. If you've never done it, maybe this can be your way in. I really believe in you. It is such a human, magical thing to do, something that I am still coming to terms with, doing it in a way that keeps me going in the direction that I want to go in order to hone my language, to learn new language, to be of service to this. We might not know where it comes from, but we can serve it. We can show up and teach our hands new language, teach our ears new language, and before we know it, we'll be talking just like a great conversation. You won't be thinking about, what am I going to say next? It just comes. And there's this symbiotic nature to it. So until next week, I will be back then. I do have a new newsletter I'm going to be posting. Eventually you can sign up for it. I'm just going to link it below though. It's part of my blog, and it is all about the stuff I talk about in this channel. Stuff of mental considerations with music, stuff I've learned in my musical journey, and I hope it can be helpful to you. And I hope you can like this video if it's helpful, and I guess dislike it if it's not helpful. No one says that, but dislike it if it's not helpful. So that way you can help me out, convey. Let me comment if you have any insights on this, if anything that's worked for you, or if you have any questions, and I will see you next time. Thanks.